Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return with round 10 of season 3 of the F123 My Team Career Mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here for our first sprint race of the season, of course, with Azerbaijan being dropped off this year's calendar. We're basically halfway through the campaign before we get to our first sprint race of the championship. Of course, if you missed out yesterday's video where we went back to Montreal, of course, for the Canadian Grand Prix, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. But yeah, as we head, though, here to the Styrian Mountains, we need a bit of a turnaround. I won't lie, you know, we need to get back on it. We need to find some rhythm and some momentum here. Of course, Austria has actually been quite a positive weekend for us in the past. Obviously, we took our second ever Formula 1 victory here last season. Yes, a lucky strategy call did come into it, but, you know, you got to take the rough with the smooth there. Got some new components going on to the car this weekend. Currently still sat in 10th place over on the Drivers' Championship and back down to 5th in the Constructors there. So we need to pull our finger out. I want a good sprint weekend here. We are really going to try and focus up. But that being said, track limits here at Austria, probably some of the hardest, at least based on real-life F123 standards. Well, I really don't want to come into this weekend feeling too confident with ourselves, but free practice has gone better than it has in a long old time in this series. That final chassis upgrade might be making the brakes slightly more raceable again, but you never know. We'll wait and see as to how we get on. Aiming for low threes around the Styrian Mountains, still struggling a bit with front locking down at turn 1, but yeah, hopefully now we're finally trying to make a bit of another step forward. Of course, it's been a tough few races, you know, the car performance has improved drastically, but it just feels like we haven't been able to maximize the car anymore. But this weekend, hopefully that story is going to change a little bit there. As for Fittipaldi, hopefully he's actually going to get out of my way. Not quite sure what the Williams driver was thinking there. Is he going to dive bomb me into the next corner? No, he isn't. But yeah, I mean, track limits, though, again, around here are going to be difficult. You know, it is such a horrible track for them. And, you know, I kind of feel like they need to change, actually, in real life, the outside curbing through a couple of corners, because I think that's what was giving a lot of drivers the issues. You know, you put two wheels up on that curb and it kind of drags the car out. That being said, if that's going to happen, don't put your wheels on those curbs. But anyway, in towards the final couple of corners of my first Q1 run, they can see a little bit hesitant to try and get on the loud pedal between the final couple of corners, but a 3-2. We go less than half a tenth behind Albon. That should be us into Q2. Well, hopefully now that we can try and make it into Q3 on just one run, that has given me a huge amount of confidence after Q1 there. 3 tenths away from fastest, but it was still only good enough for P9. So it is, of course, as always, here in the Styrian Mountains, incredibly fine margins. I want to be aiming to try and get the car into the 2s. That looks to be now what the front runners are able to do, but it is all about just getting the lap nailed. There is no room for error around this venue. In towards the final couple of corners once again. Just have to take a deep breath and focus on not running wide. Got to try and take such an early apex through that final corner. It's kind of throwing me off still a little bit, but up to the line, another 3-2. Puts us again P9 there, but we're probably a bit too close. We're going to have to go for another run. But how stable track conditions are, it might be the case that no one does improve, but I don't want to leave its chance here in Q2. We want to make it back into Q3, I think for the first time since, when, Imola? Oh yeah, we made it to Q3 in Imola, didn't we? Many races ago now, but let's just try and make sure we get this lap nailed. That was a lot of curb. I will never get that line again through turn 1, and immediately almost a tenth found. Purple through the middle sector, but a tiny little error. I think we should be still through, though. And into Q3, down the 1 gear. That time through the penultimate corner. Oh, we just ran wide. What's the time going to be anyway? Very typical mistake here. It was a 2.92. That could have been a really big improvement, but we're through anyway. That was almost a perfect lap. Right, we're going to go for a double run then here in Q3. First lap's going to be done on the scrub set of tyres, and then hopefully second run we can try and go out full of confidence on our final set. Of course, you get that one extra set if you make it into Q3, but yeah, I mean, top guys now running down into the 202.5, so track conditions might still be improving slightly, but like I said, if I can get a clean 202, I'll walk away happy. Nope. Oh no, first lap's been invalidated. It's all the pressure's on now, ready for our final run. What would the time have been? 202.994 there. Which, well, I mean, we're in 10th place anyway. Albon has clearly not got first lap in either. But it is now one shot. Here we go then. The shortest lap time in Formula 1. And we've got to try and make sure it's the shortest lap I've done round here inside F123. 102 is the goal. Only Albon has not set a 102 so far, but everyone trying to improve on their last-ditch run. Less than a minute on the clock. Let's get it. No. Oh, no, I've kept it clean, but I've absolutely bottled it out of the final corner. Heartbreak. 103.3 there. And there was definitely pace for a lot more. It's P10. We'll take the Q3, but yeah, with the field so tightly bunched, who knows what we can do come race day.
Forget pit stops, forget fuel management. It's pedal to the metal all the way here as we get ready for today's sprint. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting sprint. Sergio Perez will lead us away from pole position, and the smooth operator Carlos Sainz completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Leclerc, Verstappen, Russell, Oscar Piastri, Gasly, Albon, Mr. Monaco, Ocon, Magnussen, Norris, De Vries, Liam Lawson, Joe, Bottas, Teo Pourchaire, Fittipaldi, Stroll, Sonoda and Logan Sargent. And with preparations almost complete, let's head trackside for today's sprint.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
Right, well, here we are then. Sprint race Saturday here from the Austrian GP. We're going to try and forget about last season's sprint race here. It was a bit of a disaster, but hopefully this weekend we can try and have a good run of it. 12 laps ahead of us. Albon alongside me. Gasly on mediums, rather interestingly. But I'm going to get my elbows out. We're going to be aggressive here. I want points, and I want good points to get us in good stead for the race. Here we go, though. Ready for the Austrian Grand Prix Sprint. 5 red lights here in the Styrian Mountains. It's lights out, and away we go there. Albon getting a very good start, but immediately trying to look to the inside. Is almost 5 wide. So we head down in towards turn 1. Nowhere for us to go, as Albon's got to 4th immediately. We're going to try and follow him around the outside there as we get around one of the Ferraris of Carlos Sainz. So 4 places gained for me. 4 places gained for Alex Albon there. 6th and 5th immediately at the start of the race there. As you can see, one of the Mercedes, I think that's Hamilton, isn't it, at the front of the field. His yellow flag's out already. Green flag racing once again then, as we will immediately swap past my teammate as we head down the hill there. So I think that was just the concertina and up, as side by side we'll go with young Alex. Can we try and hook it up down the inside there? Just show him the gravel trap on the exit. I don't want to be too aggressive, of course. He is my teammate, let's not forget, inside F123. But a good start once again. We've constantly had good starts in recent races, but it often hasn't led to particularly great races, as, well, first track limits warning of the sprint. That's not going to help us out all too much, so need to be careful with those today. Do not want to pick up a penalty in the sprint, otherwise that's basically our weekend ruined. But Charles Leclerc as well, actually on a set of medium compound tyres, so that might explain why we saw so much concertina run up there down at turn 1. The Ferrari cars perhaps just slowing everyone down behind them, but Hamilton trying to lead from those Red Bulls. Of course, Aston Martin proved last weekend that Red Bull can be toppled in this championship. Is Leclerc going to try and go defensive on me? Can we have a look around the outside of the Ferrari at the top of the hill? Yes, we can. They're fantastic traction off the corner, and suddenly we've gone from 10th to 4th in the opening lap and a half. Oh, I can already see Hamilton and Perez duking out at the front. I'm sure Checo would love to just beat Max Verstappen again. Of course, that two-stop strategy last weekend didn't really pay dividends for him, but 3 seconds already. These cars in front of me there, as they're going to go almost 3 wide at the top of the hill. I will take them battling with each other if it means I can get close. As again, struggling with the rear locking as Perez has made it through. Here goes Verstappen on Lewis Hamilton as well, and Red Bull have just got such superior straight line speed at the moment. This gives Checo an opportunity just to try and pull away at the front of the field, but for the second lap in a row, Hamilton has been murked around the outside there by one of those Red Bull cars. There's Russell now up to P5 behind me, so clearly wants to try and get on with it and maybe act as a bit of a support for his teammate, but Leclerc still hanging on ahead of Albon. Unfortunately now the problem we've got is Perez and Verstappen kind of dragging each other along and Hamilton hanging on to the coattails, so unless they start battling again, a 103.9 in race trim. Absolutely mental there from the Dutchman, of course, carried along by a lot of DRS and slipstream on that lap. But yeah, as we get to half distance though, Russell is still keeping me honest at the moment as Albon's still trying to find a way around Charlie Boy. But yeah, I mean, those Red Bulls, they are starting to duke it out a little bit. That, if we want any chance of a podium here, that's what we need. Come on, Alex. Get the move done on Charlie Boy. Looks like he might now finally made it through, but no, he hasn't again. Where is Charles Leclerc doing this? Like, how? As, yeah, Verstappen's still sat in P2 now. Maybe Red Bull have just told him to hold position. Is Max Verstappen known for holding position? I'm not convinced. Perez and Verstappen, side by side at the top of the hill. I mean, yeah, with the DRS, of course, on each other, we're not as quick as those Red Bulls when they can slipstream each other, but if they continue to battle, maybe Lewis gets involved as well. I just want to believe, you know, it only takes 1 lap of them all going side by side to really throw away a lot of time. That's a dumb way to pick up a track limits warning, and I'm not even convinced I was over the white line. Again, exposing the strict corner cutting inside F123. We've got no more of those to use. Oh, yellow's out. Someone's got issues. It's an Alfa Romeo, who appears to have come to a halt. Don't know if they've just spammed by themselves or whether they've actually run out of power. Have they caused a roadblock? What on earth has happened there? Well, it appears to have been Zhou Guanyu then that had the incident down the hill. You can just see coming through, gets on the power, tries to avoid putting it in the gravel trap and just sat on the racing line there. The Williams left with nowhere to go as he tries to get going again. Just reverses into the Alpha Tauri of Yuki Tsunoda, and that all got very, very scrappy towards the back of the field. 2 laps to go. George Russell now is all over my gearbox here, so things are about to get a little bit tense towards the end. Red Bull and Mercedes definitely seem like our 2 powerhouse teams this weekend. It's often been a bit of a switch between different organisations, but we'll get the DRS off of turn 1 and we'll immediately try and slingshot back past George as we head up the hill. Good wheel-to-wheel racing with them up. We haven't had much actual battling today. We kind of got past a lot of cars early on, then never really looked back from there, but we've got much superior traction as we head back down the hill. George Russell, though, back to the inside again, though. Trying to make sure we give him some room. Let's see if we get any space on the outside there. We didn't turn into him. This could end up being quite a crikey battle between myself and our fellow Brit, is just about trying to make sure we give each other racing respect. We will lap time around, be able to hang on at the inside, as it looks like Perez is going to start the final lap, still in the lead here of the Austrian Grand Prix. Hamilton and Verstappen still waiting in the wings, but Checo Perez is really looking like a force to be reckoned with this season. Don't get a penalty as we start the final lap there. A little bit hesitant on the throttle, and now are we going to see George get a run? Yes, we are. To the inside he'll go, and George Russell back into P4 once again, but he completely misses his braking point. And George Russell cracking under the pressure there. He might even lose the place to Carlos Sainz even. Just in front as Hamilton and Verstappen now. Hamilton's into the lead. Hamilton has made a double overtake for the lead. Hamilton then heading up in towards turn 1 on the final lap here from Austria. And you can see he's immediately going to get a run on Max Verstappen. To the outside he'll go of his Dutch rival there. And is he going to be able to get the DRS on Sergio Perez as well? They're 3 wide as we head up the hill in towards turn 3. Their contact between Perez and Verstappen, and Hamilton will say thank you very much. And into the lead of the Austrian Grand Prix he'll go there. Fantastic positioning down around the outside. And in the same place he took the lead in 2016 from his teammate Nico Rosberg, Hamilton has only gone and done it again of the Austrian Grand Prix there. So I've got no idea what Lewis has been able to do. Russell and Sainz now duking it out behind me. And how on earth has Hamilton done that? Absolutely insane scenes here on the final lap of the Austrian GP sprint race. Of course, it won't count as a Grand Prix victory, but Mercedes power units, once again, it was Aston Martin last weekend. It's going to be Lewis Hamilton here with some 300 IQ plays. But Red Bull now, 2 checkered flags in a row. They are not going to reach first. Are we starting to see the downfall of Red Bull? It always takes us to about the Red Bull ring before it happens. But Hamilton, out of the final corner, he's going to win the Austrian GP sprint race there. Perez will come through for P2 ahead of Max Verstappen. And we will take P4, our best result of the season so far.
And that's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
Let's have a quick look at how the driver's standings have changed. A result that will make Sergio Perez happy as he pushes his championship lead out even further. Well, that wraps up the sprint. All that remains is the main event. We'll be live and uninterrupted for the Grand Prix tomorrow, so make sure you join us then.
Well, there we are then, the end of the sprint race here from the Styrian Mountains. Hamilton takes the win, just half a second clear of Sergio Perez there with Max Verstappen in P3. But yeah, season best fourth for me. Hopefully we can try and carry that momentum into the proper Grand Prix tomorrow there. Albon in 7th as well, means Aston Martin take away no points from this result there, and that means Drivers' Championship, 4 points now behind Kevin. We're still 10 points behind Aston Martin overall in the Constructors. But anyway, let's get on with it though. Main event here from Austria, the first time in weeks I'm feeling confident with the car underneath us.
Welcome from the beautiful Styrian Mountains for another chapter in the story of the Austrian Grand Prix. It's one of the shortest laps on the calendar today then, with 7 rights and just 3 lefts, making up the 10 corners of this high-speed circuit. Turn 2 is barely a corner at all. They'll be flat out through there, a left-hand kink into the uphill braking zone of turn 3. Turns 1, 3 and 4 are all potential opportunities to overtake. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, edging out Sergio Perez, who lines up P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Mr. Monaco, Russell, Sainz, Albon, Leclerc, Oscar Piastri, Magnussen, Ocon, Norris, De Vries, Liam Lawson, Théo Pourchaire, Bottas, Stroll, Sargent, Fittipaldi, Joe, Tsunoda, and Pierre Gasly picks up the final grid slot. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race. Also here, of course, is Anthony Davidson. We should talk about Williams. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
Right, well here we are then, trackside here once more for the Austrian GP proper. A mega sprint race yesterday for us. And I mean, yeah, last season, of course, this track really was where we found our footing again. So I'm hoping it could be the same story today. There, Austria often quite a good track for us. The AI love to battle here as well, so it gives us a fighting chance. As you can see, some interesting strategies between our top 3 on the grid there. Perez and Verstappen on softs. If I'm not mistaken, Lewis on the mediums. Well, there is no threat of rain to hopefully try and save us today. 5 red lights here on the Austrian Grand Prix grid. And it's lights out, and away we go as Hamilton will go nowhere there. Verstappen likes his opportunity down on the outside of the top 2 on the grid there as well. We got someone having a look down the inside of us with a 3 wide there with both Ferraris through turn 1, but we've made it through there as Verstappen up to the lead ahead of Perez and Lewis Hamilton. So the top 3 off the start. The same top 3 as they were heading into the final lap yesterday as we make it up in towards turn 2. A less dramatic start than we had in yesterday's race. As yellow flags out once again though. The Constantina and up at the top of the hill is always pretty awful. It looks like Albon has gone backwards slightly down into P8 off the launch. So one of the Aston Martins getting the better of our teammate. But yeah, the goal today, though, early on, try and stick with Lewis and those Red Bulls. Whether we'll see the Red Bull cars try and break out of the DRS zone as quickly as they possibly can, and whether Lewis will be able to hang on to their coattails like he was able to yesterday is a very, very different question. But yeah, those three I think were a bit too quick for us to really compete with throughout the sprint. But over 36 laps, it might well be a different story. But again, just got to make sure we're keeping the car inside track limits early on then. Verstappen will lead at the end of lap 1, and we've got both Ferraris applying a lot of pressure to myself. Charles Leclerc, though, is going to get a run up the hill. Both Ferraris, in fact, actually getting a bit of a run on me there, as it will be Leclerc who dives to the inside on a set of soft compound tyres. So the tables have turned then from yesterday's sprint race, of course, when we were the one on the soft Charles Leclerc on the medium compound tyres. Carlos Sainz is also on the mediums, so he hopefully we're going to be able to have a good fight with, but we need to stay within the range of Charles. The DRS here is so important. Is yeah, those top three, they're gone. So unless Charles Leclerc has got some mega pace in that Ferrari, we could already be saying goodbye to our big three early. But we have been able to stay within the DRS range of Charles Leclerc early on here, and it looks like he is closing in on Lewis. So I think, yeah, Hamilton definitely lost the DRS off of our front two. But yeah, I mean, Carlos Sainz as well. He's kind of like an excited puppy all over my gearbox as we make it back up the hill. Steady on, easy does it. Don't want to get on that loud pedal too soon. But yeah, Charles Leclerc can definitely get back within the range of Lewis, so a podium fight might still be on early here. Remember, my best result this season has been 7th, so we absolutely want to beat that as a minimum goal. I think Charles Leclerc now is in that range of Lewis Hamilton. It's been a slow burn early on here in Austria. Often the first couple of laps are incredibly chaotic, but it seems like people have kind of just spread out actually rather quickly, and I think the real battle is going to be between those Red Bulls at the front of the field. It is high stakes between Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez, and a 7-point swing either way can have big ramifications as we head into the next few weekends there. But yeah, Charles and I now closing in on Lewis rather rapidly. Got to make sure I do a better job of looking after the tyres, though, than I did in Canada. Here goes Charles Leclerc on Lewis Hamilton as we head up the hill, and I might be about to lose the DRS to the pair of them here as Carlos Sainz senses an opportunity on myself there, and Leclerc clean around the outside of Lewis he'll go. The outside line there at the top of the hill definitely seems like the place to be, as Hamilton going to be under pressure, but I don't really want to go for it on Lewis because I need him to try and stay in the range of Charlie boy. So Lewis better get on with it as we make our way down the hill. Again, we've got to really be thinking smart about this at the moment, but Charles now might try and break free, as that's a lot of understeer. Come on, gather it up. I tell you what, Charles Leclerc is actually doing a pretty good job at bringing us closer to those Red Bulls as well, actually, at the moment. I don't know if they're still squabbling a lot. I often just can't quite see, but it feels like that gap's coming down again, as is Hamilton now going to try and get a run on Charles as we head out of turn 1, up through turn 2 and in towards turn 3. He's going to go to the outside, and that seems to be the place to be. If you're the AI so far this weekend, will Charles Leclerc show him the door? No, he won't. Leclerc gives him some room and will say thank you very much. Swoop around the outside of the Ferrari car as well there. And yeah, the gap back down to under 3 seconds to Verstappen, who has lost the lead of this Grand Prix. Hamilton, though, late on the brakes there, will just about get it slowed down. We will get a run off of the corner, but side by side with Lewis will go. Again, the Merc, he's got a lot of straight line speed, as that might be a warning. Nope, somehow not, but we definitely ran wide. Yellow's out. Someone's got issues. Oh, it is one of the Red Bulls. Max Verstappen. Yet another mechanical failure for the Red Bull. And he is out of the Austrian Grand Prix there. Exactly where I'm sure Red Bull did not want to see one of their cars going slowly. And Verstappen, his 3rd mechanical failure of the season. If ever Sergio Perez had an opportunity at a World Championship, surely it has got to be this season there. That has huge implications for the championship, and the Dutchman is down and out once again. And now Lewis and I really need to try and work together here against Sergio Perez in this GP. Looks like Leclerc and Sainz have started squabbling behind, but oh, that's not what I had in mind. Almost running into the back and over the top of Lewis Hamilton there at the top of the hill. But yeah, if we can work together to try and close in on that Red Bull, you know, just slipstream DRS passing off each other. Doesn't look like Lewis wants to play that game at the moment. He will actually let me by. We'll swoop around the outside of him and into P2 of the GP. But yeah, I want to try and use each other just to see if we can close in on that Red Bull. First warning of the day. That's really not what I wanted. I was literally just thinking about how we hadn't got a warning yet and immediately go and pick up our first one. 3 seconds to Checo. I think the soft compound tyres are starting to hit the cliff for a few of the drivers. Charles Leclerc now dropping back behind Oscar Piastri momentarily. So clearly Oscar fueled on by his win last weekend. And a bit of a nightmare start here in Austria, but he's clearly trying to pull his finger out. But yeah, the gap to Checo, despite making a couple of mistakes, is starting to come down actually. Don't get a warning. Got to be careful of those. But yeah, the gap generally is coming down the right way. Starting to see all the soft compound runners into the pit lane. It's going to be a few more laps before I dive it in. My plan is actually go the other way to them and get to about the end of lap 20 and dive it in. But Checo, 2.5 seconds. That gap's not coming down a lot, but it's never going up either. There we go. Checo into the pit lane. He's been able to go pretty much half distance though on those soft compound tyres, so fair play to him. Also means potentially we've got a little bit more that we can get out of them if we wanted to. But yeah, these mediums starting to feel a little bit ropey. I have pushed them very, very aggressively. And of course, Checo might be able to get a bit of an undercut on us as well, depending on where he re-emerges. And that's not going to do us any favours for the overcut. Hamilton down the inside at the top of the hill. Yeah, we need to get to the end of 20 if we want this strategy to work, though, I feel, as Sergio's come out in clear air as well. Oh, Lewis into the pit lane as well, then. The end of 18, so he's clearly bored of looking at my rear wing. He's going to go hard tyres for the end of the afternoon. But yeah, we're just going to try and keep these in good nick, make sure we're maintaining a decent pace. There's Albon now. We're going to have a 1-2 in this Grand Prix. Have we ever had a 1-2 before on F123? I don't think we have. Unfortunately, we can now also see the gaps to Perez and Lewis coming down here. We've got to trust our own system in this race as Albon and Russell into the pit lane. But yeah, both of them already taking a lot of time out of me, and the gap between Lewis and Sergio has opened up to 6 seconds through that pit window. And I think Charles Leclerc is right on Hamilton's gearbox as well, so we might come out behind Charlie boy. But hopefully in the second half of this race, we are going to be the quickest car here. It's going to be a tall order though. But I think, you know, we need to measure ourselves, and I think at the very least a podium has got to be the goal. Into the pits will come, though, at the end of lap 20. Just try and be nice and careful on the entry. Don't want to take too many big risks with it. So we'll try and make our way in. Come on, let's just make sure we get the car slowed down 50 miles an hour, which we will do. And yeah, soft compound tyres then to the end of the afternoon. We lost another second to Charles and Lewis over this last lap, so I think we are going to re-emerge behind them, but the question is just how far behind will it be? As nicely onto the marks. Come on, clean tidy stop, 2.3's not back going. Here comes Lewis. So we head back out of pit lane. There goes the Merc, there goes the Ferrari. And we are going to be a little way behind them. Oh, very, very close to the pit wall on the exit. I mean, we're out comfortably in 4th place. As here goes Charlie boy immediately around the outside of Lewis Hamilton as we head up the hill. 16 laps to go, and Charles done it before we even get to the braking zone. That Ferrari is rapid in a straight line. Right, back in the DRS range of Lewis Hamilton, almost at 2/3 distance this afternoon, a 1:04.4. There's a new personal best for the day. Don't get a track limits warning at turn 1. Gotta be so careful still. Later on, are we going to see Lewis get a run on Charlo? Yes, we are. Is he going to go to the outside or the inside? He's actually going to sit back. Watch the Ferrari in towards the top of the hill, as I'm so much later on the brakes than the pair of them at the moment. Got to be careful. We don't use too much out of the tyres. It's so much management inside F123. I kind of love it from an immersion standpoint, but of course I feel like I'm seeing the same thing quite regularly as well. But yeah, we need to get a run. Alright, come on then, Lewis. Let's see what you got on Charlie, boys. We head out of turn 1. Let's see what we've got on Lewis as well. That 24:36 here in the Styrian Mountains. It looks like both of us are able to get a run on Charles. Lewis is going to go to the inside. We're going to try and pull to the outside, almost 3 wide, as we make our way up the hill there. And Charles Leclerc will probably get the traction down on the exit. No, he won't. There's all 2 wheels on the grass there. We got much more traction off the corner. We're still 3 wide as we head down in towards the next braking zone. It's not over yet, Mark. You might be getting a little bit overconfident, as we have to get the elbows out with Lewis. Pinches me to the apex there. We've got a little bit of understeer off the corner, but that is going to be a double overtake then here in the Austrian Grand Prix. 8 seconds up to Sergio, though. I'm not optimistic. That Red Bull is fast. Nope, that's it over. Any hopes we had of the win here have gone out the window immediately. We need to lock in this P2. It always helps when Lewis and Charles go side by side through turn 1, because that 3-second gap then has been opened up. Don't. No. Come on, Matt. Don't need another one. We managed to get the 3 seconds in 1 lap. I don't fancy it being so easy to get 6 seconds. Oh, Perez. Perez has suddenly dropped 3 seconds at the front of the field. I don't think he's got any issues. I think he's just getting a bit slowed up in all that back marker traffic, but that's something I hadn't considered late on in the day. I think potentially some of those slower cars get involved in this, as well, the gap to the Mexican is now closer than the gap behind. Hamilton and Leclerc have been duking it out so aggressively. They have lost out big time. Logan Sargent trying to jump out of the way as we head up the top of the hill. Hopefully the AlphaTauri drivers actually just lift out. Why are you lifting out at the very last moment, man? Come on, make both of our lives easier. I reckon he's been paid off by Red Bull to do that, as that's how you do it. Lance Stroll getting out of the way. Yellows. That's not how you do it. Fittipaldi's binned it. That's quite scary late on, as Yuki Tsunoda as well will jump out. Yeah, I mean, Fittipaldi finally gets going again, but actually, no, I don't want a late race safety car here, do I? I really do not want that. We're starting the final lap then here at the Austrian Grand Prix, and I tell you what, it might not be the win we got last season, but this is absolutely the result we needed, and I didn't want to say it too early, but even just from free practice, it felt like the car was clicking so much more this weekend than it has done in such a long time this series. It has been tough season 3, I won't lie. You know, we really did feel like we hit the ground running early on. We thought these big upgrades would really push the car right towards the front of the field, but Red Bull have been pretty much unstoppable. Albon has been in a world of his own as well, but we've just really struggled, you know, always right towards the bottom of the pack we've been fighting against. Yes, of course, we've been lucky today. You know, Max Verstappen, a 3rd mechanical failure of the year, but Sergio Perez, despite that, has basically been untouchable. But the fact we've been able to build up such an advantage over Lewis and Leclerc behind, helped, of course, by the fact this isn't the best track for the AI and one of my better ones on F123. Sergio Perez is going to open up the gap by a further 26 points at the top of the table. Out of the final corner, we're back on the podium with P2.
Yes, nice work, mate. You did a really good job today. Pretty sure the boss is going to be happy with that one.
That's it then for another spectacular Grand Prix here in Austria. And a truly magnificent drive to hang on and take the win. Anthony Davidson, what helped them deliver this result, do you think?
Well, tyre management probably played quite a large role in the outcome of this one. As ever, it's not just about speed, it's all about maintaining that speed consistently over a stint, over a race distance. So being able to keep up the lap times while still being smooth on the controls and gentle on the tyres, that's really where the race was won today.
Red Bull put up an outstanding fight for the front position today, and it's great to see it paid off for them. They do so much for the sports that you can't help but be delighted by today's race win. And now let's take a look at the driver's standings. A result that will make Sergio Perez happy as he pushes his championship lead out even further. Some amazing talent out on the track today. But Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
Well, there was a lot of incredible driving out there today, but if I had to pick someone, it's got to be Sergio Perez. Fantastic driving.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. And pulling further ahead in the standings, it's Red Bull. Well, what an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
Well, there we go then. Sergio Perez, yet another practically faultless drive there. Helped, as we said, by Max Verstappen's mechanical failure. But fastest lap, race victory. The full 26 points there goes to the Mexican. And yes, Coming up to the line, after I slowed down, I did suddenly remember I had a 3-second penalty there, so knew we had to get on with it ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Charles Leclerc P4 ahead of both Aston Martins. Good job done by them. Sainz, Albon, Russell and Lando Norris will round out our top 10 there. And yep, just the Dutchman unable to see it through to the checkered flag means Sergio Perez now with a 38-point lead at the top of the table there. Magnificent job done by him early on this campaign, of course, as we close up to the halfway stage of the season. Sainz still in P3, just 6 points now ahead of George Russell, but I think Charles Leclerc is probably trying to muscle his way back up to best of the rest ahead of Hamilton there. Piastri still in 7th, of course, by virtue of his Canadian GP win, and Albon now ahead of myself there as we re-jump Magnussen in to 9th place there. 11 points back behind my teammate at this stage of the campaign. Constructors-wise, though, the gap between us and Aston Martin has come down to just 6 points there. Red Bull continue to extend their lead at the top, now 111 clear out front of the field. But yeah, over the 100-point threshold for us. Pretty happy with that. I feel like we could be in quite a fierce battle with Aston Martin throughout the rest of the campaign. But thank you all, as always, so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we will be back very, very soon when Formula 1 returns next time to the British Grand Prix. You guys do not want to miss it.